Ignite that! Dragon Form!
The enemy wields armor.
We'll soon see about that!
Now or never.
Freeze Lancer!
No further! Here I come!
Illuminate the dark!
Come on, a roll now!
I'm not done! Sword Rain Alpha!
Hear my call! A wailing lightning! Fury!
Dragon Form! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Raging gains all the power of
Leave the ensnaring to me. To me!
Do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished! My turn! No escape! Die! Left the duck!
You require a head.
Here I go!
Do it! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Not a chance!
Wailing Banshee Lightning!
Dragon Form!
None will escape my dominance!
Here I come! I'm on it!
There's always room for improvement.
An opponent like this should be easy.
Raging Cascade!
Now or never. You picked the wrong fight! You're mine!
By the power of
Dragon
water!
Form!
These ones can run free around us!
Explosive ring!
Burning strike!
I can carve through water!
Try
Hear
harder!
my call!
turn!
Eat
Win!
Already
Here's evil! Where are you going? I'll be waiting this one! Firmament
You
Render!
picked the wrong fight! Strike!
You shouldn't have messed with me!
More attacking! Need to pull myself together!
Now!
Firmament
Take it!
Render! Need to pull myself
Dragon
together!
Form! First strike! No! Can't end here!
Don't leave me! Do it! Frozen
Hammer!
I'll bring you back from death's abyss! It's time!
I'm just getting started.
Magic Gazam! Sealed!
Not done yet!
Lunar
Roll now! Shattering the solution!
Astral Energy!
Say no more! We won.
Hey, what do you say we...
I have a bad feeling about this.
You're mine! I'm not done! This one's all mine! You picked the wrong... Prepare to be defeated!
Laser Spear! Pierce Evil!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Freeze Lancer!
Tectonic punch!
You're on! Here I come!
This one's mine! Razor Cyclone!
Dragon Pistol!
Mega Red!
Win!
My Astral Energy!
Devastation!
Magic Gazam! Holy
Left
Ram!
the duck!
Do it! Get toasty!
Bird strike!
Now!
By the power of
Watch it! Watch it!
You shouldn't have messed with me!
Raging
You're mine! Dragon Form! My turn! Azure Storm!
I really
Take it!
In here! More Pierce!
No escape! Too fast!
Stand back. I'll trip it up.
Ignite! Dragon Form! Try this! Explosive ring!
A wailing
Last
Banshee
shot!
Lightning! Divine
Tear! Soaring Light Spear!
Pierce Evil!
I'm not done! Here I come! No
I
escape!
can carve through armor!
You're finished!
I'm on a roll now!
Dragon Swarm!
Inferno Punch!
Not a chance!
Lunar Backhand Swirl!
Dragon Swarm!
Celestial Burner!
Try this!
I do it!
Dohalim!
Hey!
Blow them away!
Am I on a roll or what?
Well, look who's in a bright and shiny mood. What the? When did it get pitch dark all of a sudden?
The lights are all out. Think it has something to do with the explosion back in the Forbidden Zone? Doe?
You two. Faria, Avakir. Thank goodness you're safe.
Avakir filled me in about everything. About how I ambushed you all.
She doesn't remember a thing, so she really was being controlled.
He told me about Tarnigan, too. Is it true?
What difference does it make? What's done is done.
Stop casting me off, just for once!
Faria, not now. It can wait. Dohalim, Lenegis is in grave peril.
So I can see.
It's the city's core reactor. It's damaged. Some of the basic systems we've managed to keep online, but complete restoration's still a way off.
You're an elite technician, though. You can fix it, right?
If so, then what's the problem?
Panic's begun to set in among the citizens. Until now, whenever something like this happened, the Sovereign would issue a decree. But this time, not so much as a peep. Any longer, and we run the risk of riots breaking out before we can get things back up and running.
Forget the Sovereign. I doubt you'll be hearing from him anytime soon.
What's that supposed to mean? Do you know something I don't?
Suffice it to say, the Sovereign isn't the kind of ruler we thought he was. That is, if he ever even existed, which is looking doubtful at this stage.
Are you out of your mind? Why, if people knew that a lord such as yourself was whispering such blasphemy, they'd—
There's no time to explain now. It sounds like we need to find a way to keep Lenegis from spiraling out of control.
We need to stop that riot.
But how do we do that?
Riots feed on discontent and unrest, right? So if we want to keep the peace, we just need to put people's minds at ease.
At ease? Like by letting them hear directly from someone they trust. That's it. Who's the highest-ranking person in Lenegis right now?
Lenegis wouldn't have a next in line. After all, you said the Sovereign rules over everyone directly, right?
Correct. The closest thing to an authority figure would be a lord. And the only one left is... Ah. Very well then. Avakir, you mentioned a few facilities were still online. Which ones?
Why hasn't the Sovereign said anything?
Please, won't somebody explain what's going on?
Is it over? What's going to happen to all of us?
Heed me now, fellow remnants of Lenegis. It is I, Lord Dohalim Ilkaris of Elda Menancia.
Look, up there! It's Lord Dohalim!
Hold on! He should be in the crown contest! Shouldn't he? Why isn't the Sovereign talking to us?
The Sovereign is seeing to other matters right now. In my capacity as Lord, I speak to you in his stead. You're afraid, as people so often are when faced with the unknown. I hope you'll allow me to put your fears to rest. The city's core reactor has experienced a malfunction. However, we have our top engineers attending to the matter, and things will soon be back to normal. I know that you feel abandoned, perhaps more scared and alone than ever before. But I ask you all to keep one thing in mind. You are Lenegis, not the Lords and Sovereign. The solidarity of its citizens is the mortar that holds it together. If we we don't allow ourselves to be distracted by our differences, if we put our hearts and minds together and stand as one, I am confident we will find new hope. I would be honored to stand with you. Not as a person of loftier rank, but as another human being among many. I hope that you'll lend me your strength, for if we can persevere as one, I know a bright tomorrow awaits.
Your speech seems to have done the trick. Looks like the city won't be descending into chaos after all.
I only pray the relief will tide the city over for the time being.
What you said earlier, about the Sovereign possibly not even existing, was it true?
It's still too premature to say with any certainty, but I believe so. This whole time, this world we've been fed was a lie, built on nothing but falsehoods.
But it can't all have been...
I can believe it. After everything I saw in the Forbidden Zone, what they did to Faria, it's the only explanation that makes sense.
But what about hierarchy, Avakir? Authority? The very foundations of Renan society? How can we live without someone to guide us?
I'd say we found someone capable of doing just that, wouldn't you?
You? You can't be serious.
I have business I must take care of first. But once everything is over, I shall return. But not as your sovereign, nor as a leader the likes of which the people here are used to, I think.
But how else do you propose to rule?
I'm not sure yet. All I have is a feeling that here in Lenegis, a new dawn is on the verge of breaking. One in which people won't be judged by birthright or on the power of their astral arts, but on other things. More important things. Things like, oh, I don't know, musical talent, for example.
When I bumped into you after all those years, I said you were no different. But I was wrong. Truth is, you were always different. I feel like maybe now I can finally begin to accept Turnagain's death. To see a future.
You go finish whatever it is you've got to do. I'll hold down the fort here in Lenegis till you get back.
Thank you.
I guess you're not going to make it to Menancia for the foreseeable future, huh?
Indeed. Forgive me.
The people of Elda Menancia can look after themselves just fine. It's the ones here on Lenegis who need someone to guide them. Besides, with you leading the people here, it'll help spread the idea of coexistence beyond Menancia's borders that much faster.
Sounds like you're in it for the long haul.
How could I not be, after the second chance that I've been granted? From this day forth, I shall dedicate myself to the future inhabitants of this world. Though the memories of the departed shall remain forever in my heart.
Remember, you're going to be leading the people here, not ruling them.
True enough. Whatever would I do without you, Kisara?
With or without her, I suspect you're gonna have your hands full when the time comes. We should be heading back to the ship. Business on Rena awaits. Looks like the people of Lenegis can rest. Easy.
I couldn't have done it without your words of encouragement, Law.
Hey, you're the one who made the speech.
I think everybody can share the credit here.
In one sense, when all is said and done, perhaps I have been a slave this whole time too.
You, a Renan Lord? How do you figure that exactly?
I was complicit in the Renan system, bound by its values, resigned to being swept along, without the resolve to take a stand. And when I realized the severity of my mistake, all I longed for was punishment, a lord. And yet my first instinct was to place my fate in the hands of others.
I think I can relate. I couldn't stand watching my people bow and scrape their way through life, but I didn't know what else I could do about it either. The ability to think for yourself and be your own master, that's what separates a slave from a free person. At least, that's what Law's dad Zephyr used to say. Zephyr taught me how to fight. But in doing so, he also taught me how to live.
Even if it means stumbling along the way. If it's on a road of our own choosing, free of regret. Why, that's the road of freedom. Or, to put it another way, so long as his heart is compromised, even the loftiest of kings is no freer than a slave. I think I finally understand now. This Zephyr character sounds like he was a wise man indeed. I only wish I could have met him.
There's just so much I wish I could ask him, especially now. I wonder, have I been correctly carrying on the torch that he passed to me?
How long have you known?
Known what?
About the darkness I carry inside me. You seem to have been aware of it for quite some time now.
Why ask me now? What does it matter? But yes, I have. I've pretty much known that something was gnawing at you ever since we left Menancia.
So basically since the very start of our journey then. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more ashamed.
Leave the past where it belongs. We have no need for it now. You're forging ahead. That's what matters. If my brother could see you, he'd be proud.
Not as proud as he would be of his sister, I'm sure.
Well then, just as well it's not a competition, huh?
Kisara? Anyone at home in there?
Sorry. Did I look distracted?
Among other things. To be entirely honest, I couldn't tell whether you were smiling or frowning.
You were thinking about Dohalim, weren't you?
That obvious, huh? I was just thinking how good it is to see him moving forward at last. It was always so infuriating, knowing how capable he could be if he just put his mind to it. A prisoner trapped in a cage of his own self-doubt. But now, he's finally beginning to spread his wings. I'm happy for him.
So, then why do you look so sad?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say sad. There's a bittersweetness to it, I guess. It's good and strange, knowing that he won't be needing me anymore. It probably sounds weird, doesn't it? I have this massive worry off my mind. I should be jumping up and down for joy, right?
Must be that maternal instinct of yours at work.
Rinwell's right. You're like a mother bird, finally letting go as her child takes his first shaking and nervous flight from the nest.
A pretty big child.
That's one way to look at it. I wouldn't like to see Dohalim's face if he heard you say that. All this has made me realize I can't allow myself to become a prisoner of my own making like he was. If Dohalim can forge his own path ahead, then I can too. I won't be left behind.
thought we'd find answers on Lenegis, but we just ended up finding more questions.
You can say that again. And now we have more problems to fix, too. Like figuring out how to reform Lenegis.
That can wait for now. We've got more than enough on our plates to deal with as it is. Like figuring out who's really running the show on Rena.
Yeah. Which is why we're going to the Renan homeworld.
All the answers we've been looking for are on that planet. The person responsible for all this. The Red Woman and the Renis Alma. The answers have to be there. Are we prepared to finally find them?
So, what do we do first when we get there?
We know nothing about the Renan homeworld or what we might face once we arrive. We should get a feel for how things are on the ground before we take any serious steps.
It's also entirely possible that the first thing we're going to face is an attack.
If we come across a capital, we should... What? Damn! The hell just happened?
Our course has been altered. The coordinates are pointing to a different destination.
What's that?
The ship's controls aren't accepting my commands. The engine is being shut down.
That's bad, right?
Quite bad. We've lost control of the ship.
Is all of this the Red Women's doing?
Are they trying to finish us off before we can land?
Everyone! Look there!
A flower blooming out of Rena?
But that flower looks like it's absorbing all of Dana's energy.
And it appears Lenegis is serving as a conduit for that energy to reach here. Could that have been its true purpose all along?
If that's true, do you think the people back on Lenegis are all right?
We can only pray that they are.
Damn it! Haven't they taken enough already? When is this going to end?
Flower of Oblivion.
With everything that's happening, we need to get back to Lenegis. Is the ship still offline?
Unfortunately, yes. Even more so than when it lay dormant.
Can you fix it?
Starships are extremely complex machines. One wrong move while we're out here in space could very well cost us our lives.
So what? We're just stuck inside here, floating around? For how long?
I don't believe this. We've made it all this way, and now we're stuck here? We're watching Dana die before our eyes, and we have no choice but to sit here and starve to death?
Law, calm down! You're not the only one who's worried here.
Right. Sorry.
It's still too early to give up. There has to be a way to get out of this.
Alphen.
Ah!
Now what?
The starship, it's back online?
No, this is different. Something is pulling our ship in towards it.
We managed to get moving, but where are we?
It looks like Lenegis in here.
Do you think we might run into more Renans here? Or those red women?
Perhaps. Someone brought us here. The question is, who?
We haven't been ambushed, so that probably means they aren't hostile. Still, why would anyone want to bring us here?
Hey, Shion!
If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so while we were back on the starship. We should see where this path takes us.
Ah, Shion, just in the nick of time. Here, lend me a hand while I...
No!
What the... Oh, right. The thorns. My bad.
No, I'm the one who should apologize. I overreacted.
Again, Law? Can't you even go a minute without putting your foot in your mouth?
Seriously, it's fine. I'd rather that than people feeling like they're walking on eggshells around me. Besides, I'm the one who should be vigilant about not touching you guys, not the other way around.
Actually, I've been meaning to ask. Not being able to touch people. Does it ever get lonely sometimes?
I guess I never really thought about it in those terms. It was either accept it for what it was, or come undone. Before long, it was just part of my everyday reality. I think I even forgot there was another way to live. Which isn't to say I didn't feel alone. I did. Always.
So numb to your reality, you couldn't even recognize it as loneliness? I don't know how you managed.
It's fine. I know I'm not alone anymore.
But I can't even touch you. No way of lending you a shoulder when you're down? Even Alphen.
I appreciate the concern. Until I get rid of these thorns, I guess I'll have to put up with it just a little longer. But not forever. Alphen promised me that. Maybe it'll be soon, maybe it won't be. But either way, the day will come. And I'll be ready when it does.
Yeah, just hang in there. One day, we'll share a big warm hug. You'll see. I promise. Boo!
Ah! What the? Are you out of your mind? This isn't the time for games, Rinwell!
Oh, come on. How am I supposed to resist with you looking all jittery like that?
It's called experiencing feelings appropriate to the situation. You ought to try it sometime.
Yeah, but seeing you act all nervous, you're making me start to feel nervous too. Whew!
Oh, sorry.
Staying alert is important, but too much caution can cloud your judgment. Try to strike a balance.
I still can't get over what we saw happening outside the starship.
Yeah, our planet's really not doing too hot right about now.
I've only ever seen Rena from the surface of Dana, so I figured it was just another round planet like ours. Still though, I never would have imagined Rena actually looked like that. And what's the deal with that giant flower coming out of it?
Beats me. I have absolutely no clue. It's so surreal. It looks like a broken egg or something.
Rena and Dana. We were taught that both worlds were spherical bodies that floated amongst the stars in the heavens. But to think that they lied to us not only about the Sovereign and the Crown contest, but also the form of our own planet.
Dohalim.
Okay. That beam of light joining Dana and Rena. It was the Renan side that it first came from, right?
That's what it looked like. And then the Danon side responded.
Perhaps it was some kind of directive from the Renan homeworld? To reawaken the Wedge and Lenegis?
Which would mean that whoever's behind all this is on Rena after all. But what are they after? Is it really worth going through all this trouble just to steal Dana's energy?
Try to stay calm. With so many factors we don't understand, dwelling on it won't get us anywhere. What is it?
No, it's just so much from...
You made it you notice something, you change it.
This place looks a lot like that room we saw back in the Forbidden Zone.
Huh? What's that? It's one of those!
A red woman in disguise. Or is this their true form?
So it was a trap?
It doesn't look like it can move. Tell me, are you the one who brought us here?
That is correct. It is unusual for me to have unexpected guests these days.
It can talk.
What are you?
Hevrecht 35.
Hevrecht 35. Is that your name?
Correct.
What is this place? No, wait, before that, just what exactly are you? Are you somehow associated with the Red Women?
Before I answer, I have a question for you. How did you all arrive in this sector?
We did not come to this place by choice. Our ship was brought here against our will, by a group of red women who can shift into the same form as you.
In that case, we can assume my brethren who serve the Great Spirit have deemed you all to be a threat most grave.
What do you mean, serve? Are you saying there really is someone more powerful than the Red Women, pulling their strings?
What did you do to us?
I examined your bodies. You have not been harmed in any way. Identifiers detected. The Sovereign and Maiden are among you. However, you aren't under its control. I see why they viewed you as a danger now.
Oh goody, more riddles.
Do you think we can trust this thing?
Like it or not, it may be our best chance at a ticket out of here. Let's at least hear it out.
I shall now answer your questions. We are Helganquil. The Red Women you encountered previously are a form of disguise we employ from time to time, but not our true form.
Helganquil?
You are on Dake Phasal, a celestial base which drifted here by accident. The will of Rena's Great Spirit no longer reaches us here. Since my sudden separation from the Great Spirit's influence, I have used any and all means to extend my lifespan. As I have done so, I have also set out to monitor and research Rena and Dana from this position.
A question. What is this Great Spirit of which you speak? Is it something that rules over your kind?
Correct. The Great Astral Spirit is a large mass of astral energy that fills all of Rena, one with its own will, a voice we cannot refuse.
A voice? Just like Dana.
The voice of the Great Spirit speaks to our hearts directly, and we have served it, without question, throughout the ages.
Does that mean it was controlling your minds? Wait a second. Could this Great Spirit be the true Sovereign of Rena?
The true ruler of Rena. It could be the same thing that's controlling Volron.
Wait, back up. You're telling us this Great Spirit of yours is the one that ordered you things to harvest the astral energy from Dana? I'm not sure I believe that.
Why not? We've already made contact with the will of Dana back in the Wedge, and in the Forbidden Zone on Lenegis. If Dana has a will of its own, I don't see why Rena wouldn't.
Maybe not, but think about what you're saying. If Dana has a will like Rena, then that would mean that we've been controlled by the voice of Dana this whole time, just like these things.
Dana's will hasn't been forcing us to do anything.
Yeah, but...
Let's assume that what Hevrek 35 claims is true, and that we are indeed cut off from both planets. Even if we had previously been under the control of Dana's will, we would have noticed now that we are disconnected.
Your fear is not based in logic. The voice of Dana is much smaller and quieter compared to that of Rena's Great Spirit. Rena's astral energy is amassed at its center, whereas Dana's is shared among all its constituents. So thinly is that energy spread that it cannot coalesce and formulate a will. Our findings here indicate as much.
Which explains why we felt its will where we did. The Wedge and Lenegis are where so much of that energy had been accumulated.
The Great Spirit's desire is to consume all astral energy, and the pursuit of that desire is why you see Rena in its current state. As a result, it has turned its attention toward Dana.
Is that why the crown contest is necessary? So that the Great Spirit can feed off of Dana?
Indeed, and it was to that end that we Helganquil devised the crown contest. Had the initial spirit channeling from 300 years ago succeeded, all of Dana's astral energy would have been seized.
But the ceremony failed. Lenegis was severely damaged, and you lost both the Sovereign and the Renis Alma.
Correct. A change in plan was required to ensure the spirit channeling success. However, recreating the Renis Alma required a vast amount of energy. That is why we turned to Dana.
So that was the real purpose behind the crown contest. An efficient means to harvest the necessary energy from Dana.
This is all happening because of me.
Nevertheless, you still haven't answered one of Alphen's original questions. Just why have you brought us here to your base, Hevrecht 35?
First, it was to confirm the identities of you, my unexpected visitors. Second, it was to ascertain whether you would be likely to accept my request.
A request? But what could someone like you want us to...
I wish for you all to slay the Great Spirit.
I'm sorry, did you just ask us to kill your master?
I did. It is in your best interest that you do so, I might add.
What makes you say that?
Lenegis has entered the final stage of the spirit channeling plan. As we speak, Dana's energy is being harvested en masse and transmitted to Rena. If nothing is done about the Great Spirit, it will not be long before all is lost.
You're saying the destruction we saw earlier is just the beginning? That...
We won't let that happen.
Why do you want us to kill the Great Spirit so badly? Is it to save our world? To free you, Helganquil, from under its control? Why?
No. My primary concern is validating our findings and analysis, which have taken many years to realize. As such, it is my desire to see how your actions impact and change these systems. However, I will not deny that vengeance also plays a part.
Vengeance? For what?
In spite of our long service to the Great Spirit, our species is on the brink of extinction.
You mean... you're dying?
At this stage, it would be wise for you to talk with the others. Ask them what you need to know. Once you have your answer, return to me. If you agree to help, I shall fix your ship.
Others? Just how many of you are there?
I am the only Helganquil who inhabits Dake Faisal.
Hey! Hey!
It's no use. I think it's done talking to us. Let's take a look around.
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dana.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renans? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevrecht 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even... Let's find... Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I...
Are you a Renan?
The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic...
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrecht 35.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and...
There isn't anyone else we can talk around here.
Have you guys lived up here in Deg Faisal with Hevrecht 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrecht 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquil have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquil themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquil, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrecht 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright. After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead. Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions. Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk.
Please, tell us what you know about the Hel...
You mean the Overseer species? I can't say...
Well, for starters...
Where else? From
Rena? Wait.
Of course not.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer
Apparently not.
Please, tell us...
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created...
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people.
There aren't. But there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their...
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all died. They gathered Danans who had an affinity for astral arts and that's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts. Albeit...
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Danans that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use astral arts on Dana now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough! You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their way... But if you ask me, I think that if it meant their hands had to get... Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't... They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two...
I see. Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed?
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelations smack...
And let's hope this is our last revelation for a while. Do you know anything about a spirit channeling plan?
If you mean the first plan from 300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what it's made?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the...
We have a winner! However, the first plan failed when the... The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told... For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with a new sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things...
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical... As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's...
Heverick 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage.
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same...
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job.
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time.
It feels like our whole world has been turned up.
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by...
Let's take a moment to gather. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take it.
Agreed. Though I'll...
Everything that's happened.
And to get that energy, then the Helganquil created the Renans, who...
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Danans all along.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Why don't we all take some time to think...
That's a good... If the Renan Great Spirit really is... Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We aren't in any immediate... Sure you don't want...
I could ask you...
I figured I'd get all my things.
I'll go along with you.
Sounds good.
Everyone's just gone their own way, huh?
Yeah, let's hit up each spot. Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a fabrication.
Right. Assuming we can believe any...
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil...
But if Heverick 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean every...
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not.
Really? Well then.
Make one.
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans, and the Great Spirit, and all that?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are a bit more mixed.
How so?
Coexistence between Dahnans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Dahnan is necessarily going to believe that either.
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Dahnans have against the Renans is long, and understandably so. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going to take to it too kindly.
Even just among the Dahnans, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Rinwell did.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway.
That's an interest.
It's true. Everybody has their own. It won't be achieved, but I think it's a... And now, I think I see a way to move forward.
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like it shook you up a bit.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Dahnan mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Dahnans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dahna anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Dahnans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down, and there might be Renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah. I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Dahnan and a mage to help bring both sides together.
Rinwell.
That great spirit worries me too, though. Dahna's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to destroy our entire planet?
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought that up. Maybe they don't know either.
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dahna's still our home. There's no way we can let it be destroyed.
We won't. We'll keep it safe no matter what.
I still can't believe it, man.
You're not the only one still trying to make sense of all this. Believe me.
Really? You've never struck me as the type of guy to get hung up on these sorts of things.
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my memory started coming back to me, I felt completely and totally lost.
It was really that bad for you?
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody else, I remembered that I still had things out there worth fighting for.
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen. All I can remember thinking was, when's this guy gonna get his act together?
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad, and running away from the truth. That was no way to live. And I've tried to stay strong, my way. But all this talk about other races and the world ending, if I can be honest with you guys, it's just all too much for me to handle right now.
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is not to worry too much about the big stuff right now.
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons, but I never really opened up to anyone about them. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, I didn't know what I should do, or who to tell. But that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me, to teach me what's really important. I just had to open up and listen.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside, you'll begin to lose sight of what you really care about. Yeah, I think you're right.
The thing that's most important, what I really care about. All I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me, to fight for them. That's good enough, right?
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still alive. Law, you know you're strong enough to fight, and you're strong enough to protect the people you care about. Forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose sight of what you want to protect in the first place. Sound good?
Yeah, I think it does. It's like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'll fight to protect the people around me. Just like I own.
I apologize for making you witness that.
You mean hearing the origins of the Renans?
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to be indelible fade away in mere seconds.
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is actually true.
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie, it's a rather elaborate one. I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned, Alphen. And you as well, Shionne. About your thorns, and being a maiden.
That's just part of being alive, don't you think?
Well, to say the least. But enough about me. I'm not concerned for myself. What concerns me is all of the other Renans out there.
When you say the other Renans, you mean the ones that are...
Correct. Even if we stop the Great Spirit from annihilating Dana, putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we...
So, I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegis...
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace Renans with open arms. If the issue is forced, things could turn dire. There is, after all, and the victims of our rule have absolutely every right...
I didn't expect the former Lord of
Menancia's fate was there had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way. Isn't that what you hope to achieve on Lenegis?
Indeed. On that note...
Oh?
I wish for you to serve as a mediator, so that the Renans can live on Dana as the one and only Blazing Sword. I suspect the Danans may listen to what you have to...
And I take it...
Yes. I realize... However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for Renans to re-enter Danan society. Is it...
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're asking for...
You're too kind. I can see you were raised well.
That's some high praise.
Then I'll ask once again.
You don't even need...
Thank you.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learned...
What about you, Shionne?
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, right now it's...
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. I thought I'd die alone. That fate, I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you. Fighting to save Rena, and it's been going on for 300 years. All this tragedy and destruction. When you consider the Helganquil's part in all this, it's been even longer than that. It was Naori's hope that somehow, someone in the future would be able to stop it, before it was too late. How it fell on us, of all people, to heed that call is a mystery.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop the world from getting destroyed. She considered me, a Dahnan, as a real person. And she very much cherished her own people, too. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved, just so they could go back to hurting each other. Oh, maybe this is what she meant.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff like everyone's needing to meet halfway and embrace each other's pain and suffering. She said that the first step down that path was for each of us to put aside our own hatred. That means forgiving other people, even and especially before they forgive you.
Forgiving?
Yeah, I don't just mean forgiving things. If we have any hope of moving on...
You know, you're right.
It's not going to be, but if we can do it, I'm there with you, Shionne. I think that's the very least.
Yeah, I want a few...
Whoa there, Savior Girl.
Yes, I know.
Well, is everybody ready to do what needs to be done?
I am. There's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, Dana's still in danger. I don't care who we're up against. We'll kick their ass.
What are your thoughts, Alphen? I want to know what's on your mind, too.
Like Law said, if we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, then so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world, and it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Shionne.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Shionne tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Shionne's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's Great Spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Shionne's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain. At the very least, though, I think it's possible her thorns are a part of the Great Spirit.
While the main body resides in Rena.
Shionne.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's Great Spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough to house the will of an entire planet. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own right. This is an altogether greater challenge for merely 6.
And we only know about the Thorns connection thanks to Naori.
Heverick 35 has been observing the Great Astral Spirit this whole time. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan of some sort. Let's go see what that is.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up programs for Lenegis, what about now?
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Renis Alma stolen, Lenegis is functioning fine. If it needed us before, it doesn't appear to now.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing? Who the hell do they think they are?
More importantly, who do they think we are? We might not even factor into their list of concerns.
I just hope everyone on Lenegis is safe.
Worst comes to worst, Lenegis is equipped with a large number of starships the people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something, they should be fine.
Wait, explode?
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenegis. The people there will be fine, I'm sure of it.
Right.
Do you have your answer for me?
We want to ask something first. You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you expect us to do that? You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renus Alma. You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit within her body, and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renus Alma to destroy it.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Shion described before.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her. We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational. It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait. Naori said that the Renus Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renus Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, Doing so requires fine control on the level of the spirit channeling ceremony. Considering that the Renis Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed, I cannot allow it. Its uncertainty is simply too great.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do it your way.
Alphen?
Whatever we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. The Great Spirit will destroy it. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process. If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alphen.
What you say is irrational. Be that as it may, I shall accede to your demand.
You'll agree?
I am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renis Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegis.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower, then.
I have one more question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Hevrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar, is all. Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to me. The end result shall be the same. Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Man, is it too much to ask for Hevrek 35 to talk like a normal person? I swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated stuff.
Don't worry. I think we're mostly done with him. Now all we have to do is rest up and wait. Is the Renis Alma really our only hope against the Great Spirit? There has to be another way, right?
Shion's Fire Master Core was able to suppress astral energy to prevent it from gaining sentience, right? Couldn't we make use of that somehow?
I'm not sure. In small doses, maybe. But with the amount of energy we're talking about here.
Back in Calaglia, the Blazing Sword was able to take in a whole spirit vessel's worth of energy. If it has the capacity to manage that, it can do this, right?
Except after it absorbed the energy, it ended up releasing it all moments later, remember? Let's not forget, it nearly killed you. Besides, this is the Great Spirit we're talking about, not a paltry vessel. Even if I could use the Master Core, your body wouldn't be able to take the strain of channeling that much energy.
Hevrek 35 didn't mention it, and it did not seem the type to skimp on details, so assuming it's even possible, the chances are slim to none.
You're probably right.
You still thinking about what the scientists told us? About where Renans really come from?
I am, but not for myself.
You're worried about the future of the Renan people.
The fact that our people have been the same this whole time will only give the Dahnans further reason to resent us.
But you still intend to confront this truth head-on, don't you?
Well, I did declare that I would live my life for the living, and not the dead. Even as I dream of retirement, I shall remain dedicated to the cause.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Now that I think about it, I don't believe I've ever heard you criticize or reproach us Renans even once.
I'm no saint. I have skeletons in my closet too. There was definitely a time when I hated Renans for who they were. I hated them just for being Renan. But you changed that, Dohalim. You gave me an opportunity to see them in a different light. Thanks to your reforms, we were able to stand next to Renans not as slaves, but as equals for the first time in our lives. Of course, I'm sure there were some Renans who still hated us on the inside. But we knew that not all of you were like that. There were those of you who were good, and that was a start. When it comes down to it, Renans are just people. They can be good or bad, just like Dahnans.
That is, in essence, the heart of your approach, isn't it? That we're all people.
Yeah, it is. When you can pull someone aside and talk to them one-on-one, then you have the chance to come to an understanding. But as soon as you stereotype, that chance goes away, and you stop thinking of them as people that you can relate to.
I understand what you're saying. But we're talking about massive numbers of Renans and Dahnans alike. Realistically speaking, surely they won't all be able to get along.
Even if we end up butting heads with one person, maybe we'll find better luck among their friends. If we can build a society that works like that, that'll be something worth nurturing and protecting.
So you wish for people to form real bonds and do away with the hierarchy outright? To deal with one another as humans, and nothing more. That's the ideal future you hope to see when this is all over?
Yes, I do. I think it would make for a fine tribute to my brother's legacy. Though, that said, I would be doing it for the people of the future first and foremost. Do you still plan to return to Lenegis when this is over?
Indeed I do. I don't know whether I'll be able to reside in Lenegis proper, however. My first order of business may be to find somewhere to live.
You'll always have a home in Menancia, you know.
As I shall ever keep in mind.
Well, if you ever need a helping hand, don't hesitate to come get me. I'll always be there for you, Doe.
Did you just... Never mind. Thank you, Kisara. I appreciate your patience as I work all this out.
Don't even mention it. And really, when you think about it, now that we know the two of us aren't so different after all, don't you think that brings down a barrier that used to be between us?
You know, I hadn't actually thought of it that way before. But I do like the sound of it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Hey, why'd you call me here? Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Well, if everything we've heard about the Great Spirit is true, then we're getting close to our final battle. So I wanted to apologize while I can.
Apologize? For what?
I was being real stupid before, about whether Dana's will had been controlling us and all that. I get why you're angry now. Anybody would be if something they trusted was being questioned. So, I'm sorry, Rinwell. Really. I should have kept my mouth shut.
No, Law. Honestly, I think you might have been onto something. Of course you were worried. Who wouldn't be if they found out there might be some invisible force pulling our strings this whole time?
But you really trust Dana's will, don't you? Is it because you can sense it a lot more than the rest of us? Because you can understand it?
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. But I think I also want to believe it's good.
Believe?
Remember how I used to really resent coming from a family of mages?
Yeah, of course. Because you were always on the run and had to live in hiding.
When we rescued Zephyr and I finally decided to come along with you all, something changed inside me. It was the first time I felt like my powers had any meaning, even if that meaning was only helping you guys fight. Then, when I felt Dana's will, I was overwhelmed by how vast and warm it was. It made me want to believe my powers were made to connect with it. It made me believe I had a bigger purpose.
So that's why you hope it doesn't turn out to be bad. You almost need it to be kind.
Yeah.
Well, alright. Then I promise I'll lay off bad-mouthing it.
You will?
There's no way for me to know for sure one way or the other, right? But you trust it, Rinwell, and that's enough for me. So I'll trust it because you do.
Remember what I said about neither planet's Great Spirit reaching us here?
Yeah?
That's not quite true. I can feel just a little bit of Rena's inside you and everyone else.
What?
I sensed it when we first got here. It's a really small amount, so it doesn't feel like it has a will of its own. But I think that's how Dana's energy probably is too.
So you're saying there's a little bit of Dana's will inside each of us? In a way, doesn't that mean we're all Dana's will?
What?
Well, like you said, unless Dana's energy comes together, it has no will. So if we all have a little bit of Dana's astral energy inside us...
Yeah, maybe...
Heverick 35 might know the answer. But, you know what? I don't need to ask it. My will is my own. I fight for who I want to fight for. That's who I am now. Who I've become. So thanks, Rinwell, for sharing that with me. To be honest, the only reason I was suspicious of Dana's will, well, I mean, it mostly was... I feel like you and I had grown apart lately, and I was worried it was because...
Huh?
Never mind. Nothing. Just forget about it.
Huh? No, what were you saying?
Saying? I don't remember saying anything.
Now you won't tell me what you were thinking?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then spit it out already.
Are you sure you don't want to get some rest?
I can't. I've got too much on my mind. Especially knowing how close our last battle is. How are you doing, Xion?
Same as you, still trying to absorb everything.
Remember when it was so simple? We were only fighting all the lords on Dana? All of that feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Ages and ages ago. Everything that's happened since we first met. So many fights, so much chaos, so many wonderful people.
If I hadn't run into you that day, well, I wouldn't have met all of you. I never would have held the blazing sword or looked for something more. I wouldn't have my memories back. I'd still be a faceless slave, like as not long dead.
Hey, Alphen. I want you to promise me something.
Yeah?
If we can't find the Renis Alma, there's something I want you to do. Like Hevrect 35 said, the only way we can end the Great Spirit for good is to go after both the main body in Rena and the thorns in me. I need you to promise me, Alphen, that if for some reason we can't get the Renis Alma back, you'll use the Blazing Sword to destroy the Great Spirit, and me along with it.
Huh?
It's true the Blazing Sword may not have the strength of the Renis Alma. But it's taken us this far. It's slain lords and beasts. At the very least, it has to be worth a try.
You can't be serious. Have you forgotten everything
Listen,
that we've...
the Great Spirit isn't just our problem. It's a threat to our entire world. Renans and Danans alike. We don't know what's going to happen when we face it, but we need to be prepared for anything. We can't second-guess ourselves when the time comes. I promise you, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I'm prepared to fight with absolutely everything I've got. But if it comes down to it, I need you to be prepared too.
Okay. But you should know that I'm not going to give up on you, Xion. I'm going to fight this until the very end. I hope you can forgive me for that.
Alphen. Okay, I understand. And I'll forgive you.
Thank you, Xion.
So it's a promise then?
Yeah, it's a promise.
I remember how I felt the first time you touched me. My thorns made any contact a mistake no one would ever make twice. After they'd seen what could happen, fear would always linger behind their eyes. In my entire life, I never had someone willingly reach out to me. But when you reached out to me and gently took my hand, you didn't react at all. It was so easy for you. I don't have words for the shock I felt in that moment.
That's because I couldn't feel pain back then.
Even once you could, though, you still chose to keep reaching out to me. And when you did, I felt this warmth that I had never known before. But still, I hate having to see you suffer through it every time you do.
You won't have to worry about that for much longer.
You think so?
I do, because Xion,
No. You can tell me once my thorns are gone. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Everybody get enough rest? We ready for this?
Yeah, we should probably get moving.
Agreed. Can't stand around waiting all day.
Our task is relatively straightforward. We need only descend down to Rena, defeat the Great Spirit, and restore stability to both worlds.
We're fighting for a new future for both Dana and Rena.
Right. We've come this far. We will save our worlds. That's a promise.
Then let's go, everybody. We've got one last wall to tear down.
Repairs on your starship are complete. Everything is in working order.
Is that you, Hevrek 35? You can see us from where you are?
I can. I can see anywhere within the bounds of Dake Faisal.
Sounds like someone's a peeping Tom.
Maybe we should give Hevrek 35 a break. It has been stuck in this tiny facility for a very, very long time.
I have unlocked all functions on your starship. You can now make use of its warp drive.
Warp drive? Wait, you mean like what the Red Women used on us? What brought us here?
It's possible that the Red Women may have found a way to activate it on the starship. They are Helganquil, after all.
Using the warp drive, you should be able to breach Rena's atmosphere without being detected.
Wait, should?
You'll need to be careful. Due to the force field surrounding Rena, the ship will be unable to go any further than the surface of the planet.
So, once we reach the shell, it appears we'll have to infiltrate the core by foot. Understood.
We gotta go all the way down just walking?
Will all the Helganquil go back to normal once we defeat the Great Spirit? I have a strange feeling we're going to have to fight them before this is all over.
The extinction of my people is inevitable at this stage. As such, it would be illogical to risk the success of the mission in a vain attempt to save my kind.
We understand.
Can't that thing lighten up a bit? Everything it says seems to be about what's illogical.
Well, come on, Doe.
Hold up, did you just...
You heard the lady. Get going.
I have one last question.
What?
As Sovereign, your identification number indicates that you are well past your predicted life expectancy. Similarly, the Maiden lacks any identification number, as her function should have been rendered unnecessary. Despite this, the two of you continue to exist. Why?
We exist because others have entrusted this to us. Over the years, many people have come together and sworn to see this through to the end.
You mean it is because of multiple chance interactions? The likelihood of such events is statistically improbable. Why have you two continued to persist under these conditions?
It's hard to explain. To be honest, I don't think it's something an observer could understand. All right, time to get back on the Fall Knights.
It would appear that our Helganquil host really has fulfilled its end of the bargain.
You know what that means. Time to go to Rena.
I guess this means we should give that warp drive a spin.
There's nothing here. This weird ocean we're surrounded by just stretches out everywhere. Is this really where the Helganquil come from?
I don't sense even a trace of astral energy. This world is dead.
Then this must be the Hollowing.
You mean to tell me this whole world, the entire ocean is that stuff?
And it's covering everything. The entire planet.
This is what the Great Spirit does. After it depleted this planet of every last speck of astral energy, it went after Dana.
So arresting. This world of doom.
Back in its day, Rena was probably just as vibrant as Dana is. But after being robbed of its astral energy for so long, those days are gone and past. This is all that will remain.
So the Great Spirit took everything. It stole energy not just from living beings, but the land, the sea, everything.
And it bound the Helganquil in servitude, until their whole world was nothing but this. And by the looks of it, that's how it remains to this day. A world of death and emptiness.
With nothing left here to consume, the Great Spirit turned its sights on Dana, looking for another host.
You're saying if we don't stop it, this is what Dana's going to look like?
We can be sure that even these few remaining remnants of Renan life will not be spared in the end.
If the oblivion and darkness both Shion and Naori saw comes to pass, nothing will survive. It looks like we can climb down from there. Let's take a look.
So this is Rena.
A hollowed ocean as far as the eye can see. What do you think would happen if we fell in?
What do you mean, what would happen? You'd drown, wouldn't you?
Come to think of it, I don't believe I've heard—
This is essentially a world-sized Renan graveyard.
No, because I said—
Taking an interest is understandable, but let's not forget—
Looks like we're not—
You'd think I was already snorkeling in it or something. So the idea is to seal the Great Spirit inside the Renaissance using the Sovereign and Maiden.
I'm guessing it won't be as easy as holding a
I already had wielded astral energy once 3 centuries ago. The problem isn't just our enemy.
In other words,
back when Shion's thorns flew out of control.
If that's the case,
we might just be able to weaken it. It won't be easy. Question for you. Let's say...
What of the world?
Yeah, I mean, at the...
A lot will have to change, that's for sure.
what do you mean?
It's well and good putting an end to Renan rule. But if it...
That's true.
Renans, Danans,
If only we could see differences like... Not different.
It will take someone in power to...
There will no longer...
That's where we come. Imagine it.
Yeah, you're right.
I wonder what Helganquil civilization...
I can imagine that'd be something you'd take an interest in.
There's no question it must have been advanced. Like none...
I get that you're itching to delve into its history.
Put a pin in it, and you can do all the...
I can think of worse things than a retirement dedicated to research.
It's a little early.
A man can dream...
Oh, wait.
In your case, Dohalim.
You'll need to stay with us for now, though.
Why do I feel this is less...
Just a friendly suggestion.
Looks like we've warped into that pit of astral energy.
Helganquil!
Guess they don't need their Red Woman disguises anymore.
Wait, can you understand us?
It's no use. We're not going to get through to them.
So they really are being controlled.
I knew there was something off here!
They're not pulling punches. We have no choice but to beat them at their own game.
Okay, here I go.
Arch Steel!
Dragon Swarm!
This is looking good.
Hope this works.
Here, let me help.
No.
All right.
Can't end here.
Don't leave me! Reload! I'm out of ammo! Here goes! Resuscitate! Magic is there! Arch required!
Not done yet.
In here! Here's a healing arc! Let's get you up
Dragon
anyway!
Swarm!
A freezing storm! Here goes!
Dragon Swarm!
Let's go!
No escape!
Purge malevolence!
New flame inside me, here to be let free!
These fists have got your name on them!
Raging Cascade! Resurrection!
Rolling
Here!
Now I'm in
Good
No
boy!
shall escape my
Dragon
judgment!
Vacuum blade!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'll finish you here and now!
It's too much!
Not in your dreams!
Take this!
Will this help?
Dragon
Lightning
Swarm!
orb!
Hurricane!
Whoa!
Thrust!
Hey,
Do it! Goodwill! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang!
Easy! Way to go! Where are you going?
Burn in hell!
Here's another loop! Magic is there!
Dragon Swarm!
Do it! Goodwill! Frozen!
Hammer!
I'm
No
going to
chance.
use all the power
Not
of my
got
healing
you.
arts to accomplish this!
Azure Storm!
Do it! Gion!
Get toasty!
Burn Strike!
Alphen,
I can't forget, but I hate killing them. They don't even know what...
Perhaps. However...
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if we're going to get attacked again. Hey! Hey, I just realized something!
Is this about dinner last night? I didn't realize those ingredients were off.
What? No! I mean, wait, you fed us rotten food?
Rinwell, the point.
Oh, yeah, right. So I was thinking about those armored soldiers we've seen. There are regular Renans inside them, right?
Yeah, they're designed to make whoever's wearing them stronger. At least, I think that's the idea.
Right. So it kind of begs the question then, why are they made so huge?
I don't know, makes them more intimidating, I guess? Or maybe all that tech wizardry inside takes up a lot of space.
You don't think it's weird how the armored soldiers are the exact same height as the Helganquil?
Can't say I'd ever noticed it till now. And?
Connect the dots, Law!
Okay, let me get this straight. You think the armored suits might have originally been designed...
Huh.
It would mean...
Not... hugely?
Get him, Hootle.
Ah! Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh, now you...
Ow! 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 You know, guys, when you think about it, we've taken out a lot.
You can say that again. If one thing's for certain...
Isn't it weird that they're still so plentiful? You don't think the Renan...
Certainly in all of my years, I've never heard of them
the only thing I can think of.
There's also no organized effort.
Exterminate?
What do you mean?
Zeugles originally used to be living creatures native to Dana.
You're right. Zeugles were only...
First people made Zeugles.
I hope we find...
It's a nice thought, but...
Aside from the strays that have gone wild, it's worth...
If we had distinct territory...
Well, I guess we...
Looks like trouble with capital T!
Together, we've got this!
Okay.
Prepare to be sealed!
By the power of water!
Fist on!
Mega Ray! Gale Force! By the power of water!
Now I'm in the groove!
Gemini Aqua!
Burn!
Annihilation! Wind Astral Energy!
Here I come!
Hurricane!
Dragon
Thunder
Swarm!
Blade! Not now! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished.
There you go, Alvin.
It's time to end this battle.
I'm right beside you.
Try this.
Struggle.
Explosive ring. Come one, come all. Azure Storm.
Do it. I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life.
My turn. Mirage. Dragon Shower. Azure Storm.
Armor won't save. Now I'm in the groove.
Dragon Swarm. It's on.
Now I'm real mad.
Last shot.
Struggle. Winds of heaven.
Azure Storm.
I'll tear you apart.
Soaring Alpha.
It was nice to last.
You picked the wrong fight.
I'll tear you apart. I'll crush you. Lightning reflexes. Tenebrous claw.
Look sharp. Lightning Tiger Blade.
I thought there'd be more dirt and rocks and...
I would imagine they're remnants left behind.
It's incredible.
Hey, these guys built Lennox.
If they had the power to create things like, or rather... We haven't seen anyone here except Hel-
The true citizens of Rena. To think of the promise their accomplishments want.
Do you think we could have got along with them?
Like all of us, you mean?
I think we may have had the...
You and Alphen. On the contrary.
Just look at the size of that thing in the past 300 years.
Regarding the past 3 centuries, at least, I'd say there's a... Also, while I get that it's
I can understand where...
What do you mean?
And that...
Yeah, there must be some...
Borrow one of their...
If it works...
You know what he's like, Law.
I wonder how the Renans avoided being mind-controlled like the Helganquil.
I'd say it's likely.
Ironic?
The Renans have committed grave injustices against the Dahnans. But it was all... Now, it turns out they...
Which must mean that the root of their evil isn't the Great Spirit.
Now hang on, though. It was that same free will that, without it, we wouldn't have been able to beat...
Law's entirely right.
Yeah.
What'd he say?
He said...
Is this a dead end?
It appears this whole room functions as an elevator. That apparatus there is likely what's used to control it.
What the... Where did they come from?
Less worry, more action. Concentrate.
Take this.
Cyan Instant! Is that statue wielding art? Now I've seen everything!
That'll bring you down.
Pesky airborne scoundrels.
Sounds like a job for yours truly.
You'll pay for that. Last shot. You're mine. Come and face me. Rising Falcon.
Here!
It's on. Eat this.
Glacial Spear. Pierce evil.
You're mine. Dragon
Wave
Swarm.
Lancer.
Dance in the wind!
Here's a healing heart.
No escape. Now I can let loose.
Now!
Remove.
Astral Energy!
Say no more. Got it.
Well done!
You're mine. Soaring Light Spear.
Right, it's showtime!
Here I come.
Wave Lancer!
You're finished.
Armor won't save you.
Nice, Law!
Leave it all to love.
Hey, I'm here too, you know!
Win.
I won't stop her! Now!
It's over.
Astral Energy! Full throttle!
Now. Come on. I'm not
That'll
done.
bring you down.
I'll finish you here and now.
Rising Phoenix. Here I come. There.
Now!
Ridwell. Demon's Descent. Flashing Fang.
Easy! Way to go!
No escape. Soaring Light Eater.
Tree Lancer!
Dragon Swarm.
I can carve through walls.
Now!
Ridwell. Demon's Descent. Flashing Fang.
No chance. Soaring Lightning Fist.
I'll crush you. Lightning reflexes. Tenebrous claw. I'm on it.
You're mine.
I never miss!
We're cleaning house.
Let me take the rest of them.
Well, someone's feeling lively.
As impressive as always.
Look sharp.
Lightning Tiger Blade. See that?
That training's paying off.
Enemies incoming!
Feeling down. Then we'll take them down.
Not today! Okay, more?
So much for sitting this fight out.
That wouldn't make me feel that way.
Nope, that'd be silly.
You're mine! Take this! Take this! I'm not done! Dragon Swarm! Try this!
Light Astral
Watch this!
Holy Glimmer!
Glimmer Dragon! Dragon Swarm!
See what happens here is
more
cross.
Suku?
He didn't
Call
done
and
that.
take them down!
Azure Storm! I'm on it! Win!
Do it! Flip them off! Get toasty!
Bird Strike!
Right, next one!
Already on it.
Soaring Light Spear!
Searing Flame!
Rising Phoenix! You're mine! More?
That'll bring you down!
It's over! Dragon Tail!
Will this help me? I never miss! Who wants to die now? Illuminate the corridor! Coming through! Not in your dreams! Don't leave me! All disasters made one! Come healing circle! Bring you back from death! Illuminate
Eagle Fly! Shattering pieces!
I can carve through armor. Fantastic! Great! Amazing!
Law, I'm trying to focus.
Trying to be nice.
You fight, be careful not to overdo it.
I'm sorry. I'll do better.
I'm not done! There!
Meteor Storm!
Severing Wing!
Now,
Take it on!
get toasty!
Bird Strike! Not again! Crunch! Soaring Light Spear! Rising Phoenix!
You see what happened there is you crossed me.
Vacuum
Shouldn't have done
Blade!
that.
Take this!
Freezing storm! This one's mine!
You're finished! Burn in hell! You're mine!
Hear me! Flame of Fury!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
I'll heal you all!
Eagle Assault!
Anything you
Vacuum
want,
Blade!
all mine!
Healing circle!
Why'd you heal me?
To stop me dying?
I'm out of arrows!
Do it! Yukara! I'll stop your movement!
And I'll stop your life!
My turn! In the sky is mine!
Mirage!
I'm on!
Dragon Swarm!
Dusty nail!
Terrain Alpha!
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade! I can feel my power growing!
Even in such a harsh environment as this, there are still creatures here?
You think they're native to Rena? Or could they be Zeugles somehow?
Whatever they are, they're dangerous. Watch yourselves around them. Think that pit stretches all the way to Rena's core?
That's true.
Brace yourself! This one's tough! Come and face me! No escape! Eat this! Dragon Swarm!
These things really get on my nerves!
Explosive ring! Got fire!
I stopped it! Let a marksman handle it!
Azure Storm! All yours! It's over!
I'm on a roll
Here I
now!
come!
Do it! Jolene! Hey! Throw them away!
My turn! You're mine! No escape! This one's all mine!
You shouldn't have messed with me!
Mirage!
Armor won't save you!
Dragon
I
Swarm!
never miss!
I'm on it!
Eat dirt!
That's enough! I'm on a roll now!
Do it! It's over! Astral energy! Full throttle! A flawless victory! Naturally! This one's mine! Magic
Dragon Swarm!
I got it!
It's over!
Show you what my heart can do!
It's on! Azure Storm!
Here's a
Severing Wing!
Thanks for the healing!
Watch yourself, okay?
Yeah!
Hey! Throw them away!
Glacial Spear!
Hurricane Thrust!
Eat this!
No escape!
Now I'm in the groove!
Devastation!
Swallow dance! Now I'm in the groove!
Take this!
Get toasty!
Burn Strike!
already on!
I'm all Rending Flash! Mega Ray! You're finished! Gemini Aqua! Dragon Sword! Arctic Waterfall! Freeze Lancer! Water! Cold! I'm not done! I'm ready! Let's get you off that way! Eat dirt! Illuminate the Dragon Sword! Get toasty! Bird Strike! Those bombs of yours are amazing!
Who needs a gun when you can send them flying?